How's it going? Ronin Man here. We are in Austin, Texas. And thanks to Scott M., we have experienced some serious Southern hospitality. I'm sitting here just looking outside, and it's beautiful, sunny in the backyard. Nice, what do you call it? Like a veranda. And it's just absolutely gorgeous. Yesterday, the drive, you'll see the footage here. It's just absolutely, it's almost majestic. It's just like driving through Texas. It's beautiful if you've never been here. And Austin is right now one of the hottest cities in America. A lot of companies are moving here. There's a lot of excitement. Last time I was here, I interviewed the Chinese Chamber of Commerce, and she was telling me about a lot of the investments that we're talking about here. I think Tesla's going to come here, it sounds like, with their Cybertruck. A lot of companies, a lot of big companies. And also the kind of the food scene in Austin is hot. The people scene, like the young people, a lot of young people here. A lot of land. It's beautiful weather. Really, Austin, Texas is very, very hot. It's got the infrastructure, it's got like from the old oil days and everything. It's got a lot of good, smart people here, actually. International people, too. It's not uncommon to meet someone in Austin who lived in Saudi Arabia or Kazakhstan or knows a prince or lived in Moscow in the 80s or whatever. There's a kind of a hidden international scene in Texas, which I really like. A friend of mine owns an incubator, a high-tech incubator here, and I went there, and Obama had been there just before I was there. They took a picture of him and stuff. And I was like, wow, this is like 5 years ago. I was like, wow, Austin's really coming up. And now I'm here. I'm super excited. So there you go. There's the introduction. Austin's awesome, by the way. So not like you would think Texas at all. It's like, it's really great city, actually. It's fucking great city. So I'm here, and I just got a great question from a friend of mine. He was saying that he has a friend, and I might butcher this a little bit, but I'm going to try to answer this question. He has a friend, and basically he's starting to feel some kind of, I don't know, like instinct or feeling that things are not going right. And it's somebody he's close to. And it's showing itself in many different ways. So it might be like he sends a text to the guy about something, and then he responds with something that's very political, which was not related at all to their friendship, right? Even if it's on the same side, it's just like, it's like, that's one thing. The another thing is like not being on time. And then afterwards, kind of lying about it, like saying, if I would have texted you, I would have been later, right? Which is totally unrealistic. So basically, a number of things that make his stomach like nervous, like make him uncomfortable. And I think it's very important. Most people who are asleep, they don't know what's going on in life. And so they will have that queasy feeling in their stomach, and they will either beat themselves up and say, what am I doing? He's my friend. This is stupid. Or they'll say, this is small things. Or they might ask somebody one specific thing. Okay, or Google one specific thing they did. But it doesn't fit together. I think if there's one thing I've learned in life is to, when you feel that gut feeling, whether it's about a friend or a job or safety in a neighborhood, some kind of instinct is to take it seriously, And then when you start to get a lot of subtle things, okay, this is important, a lot of subtle things that are wrong. So it's not one big thing. It's just like kind of like a lot of things. Like, like you're just like, okay, one thing after the other. It's kind of like you're not getting, I guess, what you used to get in your friendship or things that a normal person would do. So maybe let's say that, you and your friends, you replied to, texts when you're not busy within a certain amount of minutes. And then when you're busy, it might be, 10 hours or whatever, right? Then suddenly that 10 hours becomes 3 days. Right? That's serious. That's a big deal. That's a big change, right? Now, I don't want to say that you get anal about stuff. It's okay. The SJWs in society will tell you basically to ignore everything and just basically, I guess, trust them or something like that. Like, I don't know what they mean by that. I really don't know what people's advice is. Basically total hogwash. Like they'll say, oh, that's nothing, or that's a big deal. No, everything is a big deal. Okay, when you get a certain, like, let's say you have a house and you get termites. One termite is no big deal. Like, it's not going to take the house down. But the thing is, the termites are going to spread, right? You're going to get a lot of termites, right? So you got to take those termites seriously in your life. Even though they're tiny little things and you could laugh at them. They're just saying, it's a fucking termite. Look at that thing. That's nothing, I can't, how can you be so anal about this fucking termite, right? It's just a termite, no problem, right? The problem is that a lot of the termites, they proliferate and they will take down your whole house. You have to rebuild the house, right? So life's like that. Trust yourself, okay? So let me give you a few examples and see if this resonates with you. Okay, so one time, and I talked about this in one episode, I had a girl that I was with, and it was no big deal. This is like no big deal situation. We were having a fantastic day. Our plan was to go walking with this other friend, and we were just going to go cruising around. And I was going to introduce them, right? And this is years ago, and no big deal. It was no big deal. We're going to have a fun day. My friend was in town. We're going to hang out. I suddenly, that day when we were walking around, I just became very, very nervous. I just became very, very nervous about something. Like a man just gets, like, I talked about this in the episode about if she's cheating, you kind of know. Like there was something, I just got that uneasy feeling. And I'm not like that. I've had tons of open relationships. I've had tons of, obviously, different relationships. I'm not at all, in fact, I would have to say I'm closest thing to an unjealous guy there is. But sometimes I feel uneasy. And what my uneasy is, and just so you can understand the situation, is when I'm being lied to. So I don't mind openness, but I don't like being deceived. That's not good. I don't like to deceive people, and I don't like being deceived. That really makes me nervous. Because when I'm being deceived, then I don't know what else is coming next. That is really scary for me. So in this situation, I just felt uneasy this whole day. And so we got separate, and nothing happened. No big deal. Actually, nothing did happen. But years later, I was thinking about that day, and something else happened. And I thought, why was I so, I was trying to figure out this situation, this girl. And I thought, well, okay, that day was an important day. Like, why were you so nervous? Almost like a jealous guy nervous. And I was like, that's so unlike you. That's so unusual. Why were you like that day? And so I was looking back through the pictures. We took a ton of pictures that day. And it was strange because I just still had the pictures. And they were live photos, which is a live photo is like a half a second video. And so I didn't realize that. But I looked at them, it says live, and I look up what's live, and it says it's a video. So I turned them all into short videos, and I put them into one stream. And get this. Every time we took a picture, so I would be with her, and my friend would be taking the picture. And in 1/100th of a second, faster than the eye could see, her eyes would look down to his crotch and lick her lips. Every single time we took a picture. And it was inaudible. It was invisible. She did it so fast. Now, I don't even know if she did it on purpose. I don't even know if she was aware. I don't even know if she was aware of what she was doing. But it was like amazing to me. When I slowed it down, I sent it to a friend of mine. And the guy who took the pictures, he's a good friend. And I sent it to him. I said, dude, check this out. And he's like, I thought you were crazy. He's like, this is so unlike you. He was like totally freaking out. He's like, dude, what are you talking about? And he watched the video. He goes, he calls back and he goes, dude, he's like, I apologize. He's like, holy shit. He's like, dude, you're totally right. He's like, I had no idea. He's like, my God, that is scary. Almost like, when you're watching a movie and it's like a beautiful day and the camera pans, it's like a sunny day and the baby's laughing in the crib in the backyard. And then you just see like a blood dripping from beneath the bed, and then you realize that, someone's been killed, murdered, and then you're like, oh my God, oh shit, this scene is not what I thought I was looking at. Right. And so that was the kind of feeling, because it was like the deception was so great. And actually that was a fantastic insight into this girl's character. And something that I wish I would have trusted, but at the time I had no way of finding out. So what I'm saying is your instincts will lead you astray at times. Okay. I'm not saying my instincts are going to be correct every time. I'm just saying you are a valuable man. You have a incredibly intelligent brain. Now, so does she. Okay. Human beings are amazing. Okay. But you are you, okay? We're talking to men here. You are you. You have an incredibly intelligent brain. You have evolution or creation, whatever you want to call it, has designed you to have abilities that are pretty incredible, actually. Like almost difficult to explain sometimes. And your instinct about being deceived or something changing or something being dangerous or, someone going from being a good friend to a not a good friend have basically are so finely tuned that you need to listen to those voices. Now, here's what people usually do. And here's what my friend was doing. He was basically feeling this voice. He was feeling this unease. And what he was calling me was asking me, saying, basically, how do I get things back to normal? Okay, now here's the answer. You don't. Because you didn't start it. Okay, this is from the other person. You can only control your actions. Now, of course, we always want to go back to things that were good. We want things to stay the same or be good or better, right? Like if I had a time machine, I would go back to Japan in the 80s because that was a fantastic time to be alive. It was just one of the most exciting, some of the best food that was ever made. All the restaurants that were small like that were closed now. They're chains. Like thousands of years of history of food disappeared, in my opinion. There is still fantastic food. Japan's probably still the best, finest food in the world. Japan and France, but it's what was there in the 80s it was mind-boggling. Like it was every restaurant, they would start getting ready at like 4 a.m, 3 a.m, even if they weren't even opening till after lunch. I mean, they were so serious about everything, and the restaurant would be open till almost 3, bleaching the floors, cleaning. It was amazing. The attention to detail, the attention to art, the attention to food, the freshness of it, the absolute caring about food was, and the money was there to pay for this kind of attention. Almost like you had so much money that you could pay like Picasso to paint your walls. That was with Japan of that time. You had that kind of money. You could just say, Picasso, hey, instead of making a $300 million painting, come paint my house. I'll give you $150 million for the day. And you can leave. That's the kind of money Japan had. Like, it was insane. He was growing on trees, and they had the talent too. They had everything. They had the swords makers. They had the art. They had the engineers. They had excellence. But excellence is expensive, and they had the money, and everything worked, and it was beautiful. The girls were skinny. The fast food hadn't taken over yet. Everybody, the honesty, the fabric of society was very rich and full, and you could leave your wallet and you would always get it back with the money inside. Oh, you forgot this, sir. Your briefcase. I left my briefcase. Like, imagine leaving your briefcase full of computer, all kinds of nice stuff in Union Square. Okay, imagine leaving your briefcase, a leather, very nice looking briefcase, leaving it there in Union Square at, let's see, what time I get off work. I got off work at 5, coming back at 12 o'clock at night, and it being there, full of money, full of, everything. That was Japan, 100% back then. So it's a lot of things I'm talking about. But basically what I'm saying is, I'd love to go back to that time. Okay, I would just love to, but I can't. See, it's not in my control. So things are out of your control. When your friend changes, in your mind, you're convolutedly going to want things to go back to normal. You're going to try your best to make him into the friend he used to be, right? But he's not. And your instinct is telling you that. And it's giving you examples. Now, the examples are subtle, but that's how friendships are based on these type of things. Like, the difference between a stranger and a friend is actually not that big, but it's the details that make the difference, right? A friend can be, like a stranger can be very, very friendly, actually, and they can be very, very nice too, but there's a difference in a friendship. Right? A deep friendship, right? So it's these subtle things that make the difference. Well, even lovers, right? There's certain people that you just feel very close to, right? It's that subtle thing, right? So that's why you can't ridicule yourself. And this is why when you talk to people about it, they'll often go straight to this and say, oh, it's just a small thing, right? It's like, yeah, relationships are based on small things. Hello? They're based on trust. They're based on, that you feel... You basically, your gut, sometimes your brain is not a very good decider for friendships. Your gut is a good place to start because your gut will tell you. Now, if you don't listen to your gut is terrible. because you're going to go, okay, gut's telling me something. Now go to brain. Now I'm going to go to brain. Now I'm going to figure this out. It's like, okay, yeah, you do that eventually, but trust the gut first, and then think more about the gut before you switch on to details. And I like to take a helicopter view of things. And with a friend, I can tell you this, that whenever I have lost a friendship, which if you have lived a rich life, you're going to have gained and lost many things in your life. Okay, you're going to have met many people. They outgrow you, you outgrow them, but you gain from them. Just like a coach. A coach will give you, it's not you're not losing a friendship. They give you something at that moment, and you give them something at that moment, right? Like the coach, my soccer coach, Vince Dovidaitis, he was fucking fantastic. He was the best coach, I swear. That guy was awesome. And you know what his main advice was? Kicking the ball, kicking the bloody ball. He was like from Scotland or something. He's like, kicking the bloody ball, kicking the bloody ball. Because we were like kids, right? We were like kids, and people were afraid to kick the ball, basically. Like he's like, kick the bloody ball. He's like, that was the best advice. He's like, just keep going, just keep going, just keep going, And of course, he was like, his big thing was control the ball. And he taught us how to dribble through cones. He taught us how to really control the ball. And long story, we ended up winning a championship, right? So he was a great coach. He was one of the finest adults I had in my life when I was a kid. Like Vince Dovidaitis, he was great. But how did I get off on that? Let me think here. So basically, yeah, people are there in your life for certain things and for certain times. You have to be able to let things go. Okay, things disappear in life. In fact, if you live a long time, your friends will pass away before you, and you have to let them go. Restaurants go, culture goes, Japan in the 80s goes, different ages go, like an age when a city has no traffic or something, that goes. A peaceful neighborhood might go. It might become a whole different scene, right? A whole different immigrant population might come in and totally change the place. You might go from being let's say, a very quiet small town to something totally different, and you might not like it. You might love it. Whatever, things will go. Sometimes you long after the tough times. I know a lot of Chinese long after the Cultural Revolution times when things were simple. Girls had long hair, braids. Of course, there was a lot of terrible things happen too, but there are definitely people who long for that simple time back then. We growing vegetables, just tilling the fields, the simplicity of life, So there's things you can long after even that weren't even enjoyable at the time, right? But anyway, things all pass. Now, when your friend starts to change, it's not that you are going to going to get him back, or you can't change him. I guess you have to go into the mode of watching. He's changing. You can let him know once you really get an idea of what you want to say to him. You can say to a friend, I recommend waiting until you really know what's going on. Don't just jump into it just like you were late, this, that, you did a small thing. You talked about politics, you did this. Don't do that. Wait until you really know. Wait till the wisdom comes. And then if you want to, you can say something, because sometimes it's another reason, right? It's sometimes it's something totally different. Like, I'll give you an example. There was a Japanese guy, he was a good friend, and we studied Chinese together. And every day when he came to class, he just started getting more and more lazy. Like, he'd be tired in class, and he would just sit. I know he drank a lot, he smoked. He wasn't the healthiest guy in the world, but it was more than that. He was just getting tireder and tireder. And I looked at him and I said, dude, I'm taking you to the hospital. Something's wrong. And he's like, oh, Podo-san, okay, it's not a big deal. I said, no, where I'm taking you. So I took him down. We tested everything. They couldn't find anything wrong. And he came back, and then he's in class again, and he started falling asleep. And I said, dude, I don't know that doctor, but they didn't find it. Whatever's wrong with you, something's wrong with you. And we took him, he's like, this time he was kind of standing up. He said, no, I'm fine. I was like, my personality is I could see something, and I'm like, no fucking way. So I said, dude, we're going to the doctor again. I know you don't want to go. And he's like, okay, kind of thing, right? Because we went down. He was having a heart attack, and it saved his life. True story. They did open heart surgery, and his valves were all closing. He was only 33. and he had a full on, like, where they break the whole chest open, and there's like big what are they called? The stitches that go down the center. He had that at 33, and he was like super grateful afterwards. And I could see that there was something wrong. So it's not always that he is turning on you. It could be just like a physical thing. It could be something inside of him. I've never told that story here, but I'm very proud of myself for that story, because I'm like that with people. So if you join like Unblackmailable, I'm merciless. Like if I see something, if I see you falling asleep, I'm not going to fucking let it go. Like I don't want to. That's not my personality. I think just most, in my perspective, most people don't. They just watch people die around them, essentially, because they don't trust themselves enough. Now, I could have been wrong, and I could have lost that friendship, right? Very easily. And you know what? That's fine. If somebody didn't want to be my friend because I was trying to help them, just because they didn't understand it or something, that I'm okay with that, actually, because that's the way I am. That's what I do. Like, I'm going to go and say that. That is my personality. 100%. I've always been like that. Ever since I was a kid. That was one of the reasons why I was a target for abuse, because I am a truth teller. And I tell the truth that I see at the moment. And my feeler is pretty good, right? And I'm going to say it. And so I think that with your friend, there's different ways to look at it. If your personality is like mine, you could confront him and just say, look, this detail, they don't add up. Like something's fucking wrong. Either you don't want to be friends with me anymore, or you've changed, or something, you're angry, or maybe there's something else going on. Maybe maybe he's got a drinking problem, drug problem. Maybe he's like really got a money problem. He's stressed out about it all the time. But basically, if you're like me, what I would do is get to the heart of the matter with the guy, because I just want to figure it out, right? And I want to do it in kind of a sneaky way, because to get people to be honest, when I say sneaky, you got to kind of almost trick people to tell the truth in a way, because let me explain that. I don't mean trick him. What I mean is okay, when you're interviewing somebody, if you don't ask the right questions, they will not tell you anything worth listening to. Part of a good interviewer is to be able to listen to the person very closely, and then to be able to ask insightful questions they don't expect in a new way. And that will allow them to see their own story in a different way, and allow them to unlock new learnings. Right? If you ask what they expect or the list of questions they give you, they will not go any deeper into it. Your audience will not learn anything. And so a true, like a genius interviewer will always find new ways to kind of, slip one in there that gets you looking at the whole thing from another perspective and telling the story from not a rote, like, you know what I mean? Like you could interview like a 9/11 firefighter, ask him the same questions, and he just always says the same story, same jokes, same this, same that. A genius interviewer can come in there and say, did you ever save anybody as a kid? Did anybody ever save you? Did you ever see that? And he'd be like, oh my gosh, yeah, my brother was drowning, and he'll get him into a totally different perspective, right? So I think that's the spirit that I'm talking about here, is you want to get him to open up and find out. You're basically just trying to figure out what's going on. You've already accepted that this guy's not going to change. Okay, you can't change him. No, I shouldn't say not going to change. You're not going to change him. So at least I try to figure it out. Like, what actually is going on here? Is this guy having a heart attack? You know what I mean? Kind of thing, right? And then once I see it, I allow myself to integrate it, because sometimes he'll tell you something that makes it even worse. So be ready for that. Don't be ready for like it's going to be some small thing, has nothing to do with you, and he's actually the best friend you ever had. He might actually say something, just slip it in, just like without even putting any, emphasis on it. And then you realize, oh my gosh, that's like even worse. And he doesn't even know it. Like, oh my gosh, this is not the kind of person I want to hang out with, right? Then you don't want to tell him what you're seeing, because then you realize that he's kind of hopeless, like as a friend. Because in other words, the guy's late and you ask him and then he lies to you. That's worse than being late. Being late is not that big a deal. But lying to your friend, that's a very big deal. Covering up, lying, things like this, they're deceit. These are way more serious, because now what can you trust? Now the guy lies to you. I mean, we all lie at some level. We all tell things that are not exactly true in our lives. But I'm talking the deep stuff here. I'm not talking like the small stuff. I'm talking like serious stuff. Something that you consider serious is serious, okay? You are an intelligent man. Your feelings matter. That's why you have friends. You have friends that make you happy. People that appreciate you, right? And they do the same for you. That's the whole point. That's why the word self exists, is that you matter to yourself and your choices of food. Even if somebody else tells you this is the best and this and that, if you don't think it's the best this or that, then it's not, because it doesn't matter really. It's like so in this sense, if these small things are really bothering you, there could be something big like the heart attack type story, or it could be that you just say, hey, I don't treat people this way, and I don't want people to treat me this fucking way. This is fucked. I don't like this. That's all it needs. That's all you need. So think about it from all these perspectives, and you can either talk to the guy or kind of let it go. But the main thing is, I think this might even be the most important point, is the perspective that it's going to go back to normal, the perspective that you're going to change him, the perspective that this was a glitch in the program is probably not true. The reason why you would ask this question, is because you're feeling something big. In other words, if you're not feeling something big, you're not going to ask somebody that you ask advice to, right? You're just not going to. You have different friends, right? You have one friend you listen to music, you go to EDM concerts. You have another one you work with, another one you maybe watch movies with. You have another one you travel with. You have different friends, right? The one you come to with a question, and you came a question, you have to look at yourself and say, wait a second, maybe this is more serious than I thought. Why is this? It was kind of like the last episode where I said the things that you can't get over. Okay, she ghosted you, right? And somebody said, oh yeah, women, it doesn't matter. Listen, the point is that it matters. The point is that your feelings matter. And sometimes the same thing can happen, but it hurts you one time. There's a reason for that. It doesn't mean that the 99 times, you know what I'm saying? It's completely different. The fact that the 99 times don't matter doesn't matter to the one that does. We're talking about the one that does, right? This is something that you yourself, it's like you're an engineer in a factory. You're putting red flags up here. You're putting red flag. And then it's like you have to investigate that. So watch yourself put up the red flags even. Because sometimes you can put up the red flag and you can take it down yourself. Because you're like, you know what I mean? You're like, oh, no, I'm not going to trust my own instinct on this one. And this is embarrassing, or I'm afraid. The other thing is you might be afraid. I'm usually afraid that I'm right and that I'm losing this friendship. And that sucks. It always sucks to lose a friendship. So that's another reason why you would go down and sabotage yourself. It's almost like you sneak into your own factory and take down your own red flags, hide them. And then the manager comes in the morning. You're like, no, there's no red flag here. See up there? And then the manager's like, oh, I thought there was. Oh, well, okay, keep going. But this is the factory of your own life. You're taking down the red flags so that you can't fix or be aware of any problem, right? No, leave those fucking things up. Let those let those red flags add up, and investigate what the fuck is going on there with those red flags, right? You're the one who has to control the whole mechanism. You're the manager. You're the line manager. You're the guy fixing the machines. You're the guy selling the machines. So you're doing the whole thing, right? That's the hard part about basically improving yourself, is that you're in charge of everything. There's nobody else who can come inside of you and fix it, right? You have to, this is the one job you got to do all by yourself. You can get outside opinions, you can get advice, and you can get, obviously, things that really help you to manage the factory better. Maybe you could, if there was a metaphor, something like hire a consulting company like Boston Consulting to come in and give you better ideas about how to manage this factory, how to use the resources, how to, make it more efficient and things like that. But in the end, you got to do the whole thing yourself, right? So yeah, there's consulting, but then there's also the implementation. That's all you. Trust your instincts, guys. Things change. They're sad. The sooner you can leave up the red flags, just accept that things are going to move on in your life. Things will change. They will be painful. But I'll just leave on this, is that there is a great enjoyment. There is a fantastic enjoyment in becoming a man. And this is part of becoming a man. Really, this is a big thing. You will use this over and over in your life, whether it's jobs, neighbors, friends, bosses, girls. Like you will use this mechanism I'm talking about with many, many important things. So just accept that it's sad. Things disappear, and then just let it roll. Realize you can't control it. And I guess if you want to make it a little easier on yourself, just think of the friends you lost in the past. You lost like some good friend in high school or something, and you think, well, that sucked at the time, but actually if I look at it now, like I'm fine. That person came around, it would be fine, but I don't need them now. You know what I mean? Like my life has moved on and their life is, you'll realize, oh, okay, it's all right. It's all right. I'm going to be all right, and of course you're going to be all right. But it's like, just tell yourself that before you embark on the journey of finding out you're going to lose a friend, right? Or that a friend is falling apart or, has a problem that you can't fix. If he has a gambling problem, you can't fix that. You can tell him to go to Gamblers Anonymous, but most gamblers, they're fucked, most of them, and they're going to end up needing money and it's really, gambling's one of the worst. But, these kind of problems, they're very difficult and they affect friendships, right? They affect friendships a lot, right? And so there you go. Life is painful, hard, but there's a real enjoyment in being a master of your own ship and being able to master the details and the management of your own ship. And this is one of the big ones. Don't let these things slip. Don't let those leaks in the boat, don't let those red flags go. Add them up, figure it out, make a decision. Later, when you're right or wrong, reevaluate, learn, grow, and you come out of it stronger. And that's what really happens. It's not even about the friend at all. In the end, we are all on this journey of life totally alone, like a ship in the middle of the ocean. We are on this journey alone. You're born alone and you fucking die alone. And there's going to be no friends there. You're going to die alone. And you're born completely alone. So in the end, you have yourself and you improve yourself. And you meet a lot of people. You have a lot of fantastic dinners. You see a lot of fantastic things. But the journey of this life is a man by himself. Even though, like you said, like for myself, I'm very, very social. But I also know that in the end, it's me on that ship. I'm taking that ship through the ocean. And the ocean is going to hit me with many, many things. Friends will, economy, money, wars, disease. There's serious stuff in this life. It wasn't just back in the evolution days. It's right now. It's like, what are you going to focus on? Are you going to focus on every single little thing in your life? Every new fucking COVID this, COVID, now all of a sudden I'm going to be distracted by this, distracted by that. Am I going to ignore the things that my only gut is telling me? They've already proven the gut is part of your brain. That the brain is not just in the head. It's also connected in your arms and especially in your gut. The brain is not as simple as they thought. It actually has different mechanisms. When they say trust your gut, there's actually some scientific truth to it. So trust your gut. You only have one. And your gut is this like ball of emotion trying to feel safety and danger. Okay, it's like safety and danger, truth and not truth, and basically safety and danger. So your gut is giving you messages, and at least take them seriously. They're not always right. Your gut is a very simple organism, so you can use it to start. And I'm not saying make every decision unless you have to do it in a hundredth of a second, then go with your gut. But it is very, very valuable. And often my most meaningful lessons have started from the gut. I could feel them. I did not have the logic for it. And I just did not know it. And one more thing. If you keep feeling those red flags, you just keep feeling with the same person. Okay, imagine if you go near a radiation, like in Fukushima, you have your little radiation detector, and you go closer to I've seen people sneak in there. They have the radiation detector. It goes, goes beep, 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 as they get closer, right? Faster and faster and faster. As you come closer to this person, he goes beep, 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 and then it goes away and goes, deet, deet, deet. Kind of feel that, like beep, 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 that, it's like, oh shit, something's going on here. There's some kind of radiation here. I'm feeling it. As you go farther away from it, it goes away, you come closer and you feel it, right? These are the simple kind of things I use, and they really help me. It really helps me to understand what a person means to me. Try that today. And often it'll tell you something that you knew all along, but you're like, why didn't I fucking accept this? This is totally fucking obvious. I know this person's my enemy. I've always known that. What was I thinking? Why was I trying to make them into a friend? I'm not saying this particular guy. I'm saying you're going to use this mechanism for, you can use it for friends, jobs, areas of town, whatever. And just feel it. You're like, that beep, 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 beep. Oh, shit. Something's going on here. Red flag. All right, so one more thing I want to add in here is you're responsible. There's one aspect is your friendship with the person, right? So are they still a good friend of yours? And this and that. And there's also two other aspects to think about. One is you have a hierarchy of friendship. Okay, you have people you trust totally. You have people you trust, pretty much. You have people you don't really trust that are still your friends. You might still do stuff with them. You might enjoy playing soccer. You might enjoy riding motorcycles. There's things that you do that compartmentalize that friendship. So your friend might not be a bad guy. He just might be in the wrong category. You might want to say, okay, wait a second. I thought he was like a best friend type guy, but actually he's more of a guy that we do this together, right? So you can take him into another box. It's not black and white. Like, oh my gosh, now he's a terrible guy. Before he was perfect, now he's a terrible. No, it's like if you honestly look at your life, you have different kinds of friends. Like I have one friend and we used to just basically watch movies together. Now I don't watch movies anymore, but that's basically what we used to do. And I was quite happy with that. Like we'd watch like fucking super guy, like basically MGTOW movies together. We'd fucking laugh our asses off all the time. And it was fun. It was fun. It was very fun friendship, But that's pretty much all it was. There was nothing else. We'd just meet. He'd have like some good movie. We'd laugh our asses off. We'd say a bunch of cynical jokes, and we'd have a great night, right? And that was fun. That was our friendship. And he often wanted to travel or do something together, but he wasn't that kind of friend. Like we had different tastes. He liked to stay in very nice places, and I like to more roam around and be, I do a different type of travel than he does. So I made sure we didn't do that because I knew that was not going to be good for our friendship, because either he was not going to be happy going where I'm going, eating what I'm eating, and I was going to be resentful if I was, forking out tons of money for things that I don't value. So I didn't want that to happen. So instead I said, okay, I will, that friendship is awesome as long as I keep it in its box, right? Is if I start to take it into the other boxes, it fucking falls apart, right? So that's one way to look at it. And the other way to look at it is the way the mafia looks at it, is that you are responsible for the people in your life. Okay, so if you take a friend, let's say, to your business or to your friend, to your family home, and they steal something, people will look at you as being responsible because you're the person who brought that person into the group. So you have, especially if you're the type of person who makes friends, who has a big group of friends, you're not responsible, but you need to think about it. You need to think, if you're starting not to trust this person, okay? Or let's say it's more serious. Like it's not just new box, new hierarchy. You're realizing this person is deceitful and is not what you thought. You don't really want to be around them anymore. So you have to say to yourself, wait a second. If I deny the red flags that are happening, okay, I deny, then what'll happen is I can do that. But at the same time, I know. See, I've already figured it out. This guy's not what I thought, right? But my friends don't know. So they're kind of innocent in a way. So if you let a predator into a hen house, right? The fox in the hen house, he's going to eat the hens, right? So you have to also look at it from the perspective of not just your own friendship, but what it means to the people in your life. If you know somebody is a certain way, you got to think about that. You're responsible for that. How you let's see. If you want to have a lot of friends, like what's just like for Ronin, man. I try to my best that I can possibly do to vet everybody that comes to any event, because I want to make sure that we have. When we don't want to have like somebody who's got another agenda, but also I want to make sure that people that come to the events are guys who watch the videos, because there's a certain mindset in the comment section. There's a certain mindset in the videos. I don't want some guy to come and pay. I don't want that. Like I've had guys come before and they're like, oh, I just wanted to meet you. Like they're not really interested in the ideas. It's like, at first I didn't know what to think about that, but now I realize that's not really good. Because people are sharing very, very honest, very, very deep thoughts and stories. And if somebody's not in that perspective, they're not in that mode, a lot of damage could happen, right? So I'm very careful to find out, like, are you really into this? Like, I want to find out, like, is this something that you're passionate? Like, we're doing heavy stuff here. We're doing deep stuff here. We're doing cool stuff here. And I want to make sure that it's not that the other people are bad. It's just that I want to make sure that everybody's kind of, you know what I mean? Like everybody's kind of into the same thing. You know, if you have a bunch of people that are into chess, right? You know, and they all, that's what they do. They're all playing chess in the room and they talking about chess and like people are smoking and playing chess. You don't want to bring somebody who just doesn't like chess because, you know, he's going to be playing video games and, you know, watching porn or whatever, you know, distracting everybody. And it doesn't fit with the situation. So that's the other thing. Think about it from as a friend, when you start to see these red flags, besides just your relationship, think about the ecosystem of your life, where you're letting them in, you know. Like, for example, if a friend screws, let's say, another friend's wife, you know, you really got to think about that's a certain kind of person that would do that would sleep with their friends' wives. And then you got to think, well, wait a second, where am I bringing him around in my life? You know, are you bringing him around your home? Are you bringing him around, you know, this is the kind of guy who does that, you know, period. He's going to do it again. That's the way he operates, you know. And so you have to watch out for bringing the fox into the hen house in your friendships. So those are the two things. One, don't be black and white. Everything I said in the beginning, but also don't be black and white. There's different categories of friendships. Maybe he's just coming down a notch from a trusted friend to somebody that you can have fun with. Right? You guys can do this together or something else you did together. And the other thing is to realize that from a deeper level, you have a responsibility to those you love. And you, when you see a red flag, if you don't tell, if you don't accept, if you're in denial, you're kind of screwing over your friends because your friends are trusting you. It's your group of friends in a way. Now, of course, in the end, we're all responsible for ourselves. But come on, man. Like, if you see something first, you know what I mean? Like, you do have responsibility. That's like such an SJW thing. Oh, don't judge. And there's nothing you know. No. If you see something, if you're watching the same movie that your friends are watching, but you see blood dripping from the bed, you know, you got to be very serious about that, not just for yourself, but also for your other friends, right? Okay, so there's some thoughts, and thank you very much for listening, and thank you very much for the question. It really got me thinking, and I'm going to enjoy the rest of the day in Austin. We're going hiking here, and I hope you guys have a good one.